Ever wish you could kind of like read minds during a negotiation?
Mm.
Like figure out exactly what your client or even your kid is thinking so you can get them on board without a total meltdown.
Well, buckle up because today we're diving into high-stakes world of hostage negotiation to uncover how to do just that.
That's right, we're talking FBI tactics, but don't worry, you won't need a bulletproof vest for this.
And to guide us through this, we have the best in the business, former FBI lead international kidnapping negotiator, Chris Voss.
Chris Voss, talk about intimidating, but his book, Never Split the Difference, dives into how these intense negotiation strategies can actually help us in everyday life, right?
Absolutely. Whether you're aiming for that raise, navigating a tricky conversation at work, or even just trying to haggle the price of, I don't know, a used car.
Yeah.
Used car, that's a good one. Okay, so we've got Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator. Safe to say, the guy probably started out pretty gung-ho, right?
You could say that. Voss actually describes himself early in his career as, and I quote, a meathead, believed in logic, authority, very by the book. He even doubted that empathy had any place in negotiation.
Wait, so how does a self-proclaimed meathead FBI agent go from dismissing empathy to basically making it his superpower?
Well, it began when he started to see that those traditional tactics, the ones he was trained in, they weren't always cutting it, especially in those high-pressure hostage situations.
Yeah, makes sense. Emotions are running high, logic goes out the window.
Exactly. And the thing is, this wasn't some theoretical exercise for Voss. The stakes were incredibly real. People's lives.
Heavy stuff. And it was in those life or death situations that he had this kind of epiphany. He realized that emotions, even in these really intense situations, they weren't just present, they were the key to understanding how these, let's just say, interesting individuals were making decisions.
So it wasn't just about logic and demand, it was about understanding where they were coming from, what made them tick, the human element.
Yeah, the human element, you got it. And Voss realized that to truly excel in negotiation, you have to connect with the other person on that emotional level, understand their perspective, not just intellectually, but emotionally, their fears, their motivations, everything.
Okay, so that's where this whole tactical empathy thing comes in, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds cool and all, but how is that different from just, feeling sorry for someone?
Good question. It's way more than just acknowledging feelings. It's about genuinely stepping into their shoes, or as Voss puts it, feeling their perspective. And the kicker is, you don't even have to agree with them. It's about understanding.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. But how do we actually use tactical empathy in, like, a real negotiation?
Well, Voss gives us a whole toolbox of techniques, but one of the simplest and honestly most effective, he calls it mirroring.
Mirroring. So, like, I just mimic everything they say.
Not quite. It's more about taking just the last 1 to 3 words of what someone says and repeating it back to them.
Really? That's it? Seems almost too easy.
It does, right. But it works. It shows you're truly listening, and it kind of coaxes them into explaining themselves further, giving you more to work with.
Okay, I gotta ask, do you have an example of this mirroring thing in action?
Voss talks about this student he was coaching who was about to get bumped from an overbooked flight. Right. He told her to use mirroring and another technique, labeling, which we'll get into later.
All right, let's hear this.
So the airline employee, he's explaining the whole overbooking thing, and he says something like, I understand this is frustrating, but the flight is completely full and we've already, and that's where the student jumps in. Just says, already.
Already, that's all it took.
Yep, simple, but it totally works. That one word makes the employee elaborate. Buy her more time. She ended up getting a free upgrade to Economy Plus.
No way. All that from already.
Okay.
I have to ask, though, doesn't this feel a little, I don't know, manipulative?
I hear you. It's super important to use these tactics ethically. Tactical empathy, it's not about manipulation. It's about genuine connection, getting to a place where both sides feel heard, respected. And that brings us to another one of Voss's curveballs. The power of no.
Hold on. No, I thought we wanted people to say yes.
You'd think so, right. But Voss argues that no can actually be more valuable than a quick yes.
Okay, now I have to know more. How is no better than yes? I got to be honest. I'm still struggling to wrap my head around this whole no thing. It feels so counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Why would we want to hear no when we're trying to get someone to, well, agree with us?
You know, it is strange when you first hear it, but think about it this way. Sometimes people, they say yes too quickly.
Okay, yeah.
They're not really saying yes to the proposal. They're saying yes to avoid conflict or just to end the conversation, you know?
Right, right. So it's like a brush off, yes.
Exactly. A yes doesn't necessarily mean they're actually on board, but a no, now that's different.
Okay, how so?
Because no, it forces them to actually engage, to really think about their objections and put them out there. And it gives them a sense of control, which, believe it or not, can make them more open to hearing what you have to say.
Interesting. So they feel more in control when they say no.
Voss, he gives this great example about doing experiments.
Oh, yeah. Are you happy with your current phone plan?
Exactly. But Voss, he actually flips the script, uses no to regain control of the conversation, and often get a better outcome. It's pretty clever.
Okay, I'm starting to see it, the power of no. But I do have to ask, this all sounds a little like, I don't know, are we trying to manipulate people with these tactics? Where's the line?
Right, and Voss addresses that directly. He talks about these psychological principles like anchoring and loss aversion, but he's clear. It's not about tricking people. It's about understanding how our brains work and framing things in a way that makes sense.
So more about like framing in perspective than manipulation.
Right. He gives this example of negotiating a lower price for a set of speakers. He anchored the other side's expectations low and then highlighted what they'd lose if they didn't take the deal. Brilliant use of psychology, and it got everyone what they wanted.
Wow. Okay, we've covered so much, but I feel like there's always more to learn. What else did Voss have up his sleeve?
Well, he talks a lot about these things he calls black swans.
Black swans, like the metaphor, the unpredictable event.
Yeah, exactly. And in a negotiation, black swans are those hidden pieces of information, those unexpected curveballs that can totally change the game.
So they're like the things you don't know you don't know.
Exactly. They're crucial because they often hold the key to really understanding the other person's motivations. And once you understand those, you can usually find a solution that works for everyone.
Okay, so how do we find these black swans? Are there any like telltale signs we should be looking out for?
It's less about obvious signs and more about, I don't know, really listening. Voss, he tells this crazy story about a farmer who drove a tractor into a pond in Washington, D.C., and was threatening to blow it up.
Wait, what? He drove a tractor into a pond?
Yep, right into the reflecting pool, actually. Everyone thought the guy was nuts, right? But Voss, he saw something different.
What do you mean?
He realized that the farmer just felt ignored, like nobody was listening to his grievances. So Voss, he validated those feelings, addressed the farmer's underlying needs, and was actually able to de-escalate the whole situation peacefully. Pretty amazing, right?
That's incredible. So how do we apply that kind of thinking in our own negotiations? It's not like we're dealing with tractor-driving farmers every day.
Well, it starts with asking the right questions. How and what questions that encourage the other person to open up, to share their thought process.
Okay.
And then really listening to their answers, paying attention to those little things, the throwaway comments, the things that might seem insignificant, because those little details, they can often reveal the black swan.
Wow. So much of this comes back to active listening, being present in the conversation.
100%. It's not just about getting your way. It's about approaching negotiation as an opportunity to understand someone else's perspective, find common ground, and build a better relationship.
This has been an amazing deep dive, I have to say. Tactical empathy, the power of no black swans. Yeah. Who knew hostage negotiation could be so insightful?
Right. And the best part is these techniques, they're not just for high-stakes situations. They're for everyday life. Whether you're asking for a raise, navigating a disagreement with your partner, or even just trying to get your kids to eat their vegetables.
So next time you're facing down a negotiation, big or small, remember to really listen, embrace the unexpected, and you might be surprised at what you can achieve.